Hello everyone, welcome back to another Ubuntu Community Team Q&A. I hope that you're all watching us on ubuntuonair.com, because if you are, right below this video here, you'll see a nice little IRC box, and that's where you'll be talking to everybody else who's watching and asking us your questions. We do these Q&As every week where we come on, we give some brief updates on things that are going on within the Ubuntu project and community. And then we take any questions that you might have for us, and we answer them right here live on the air. If you do have a question, we ask that you start it with the word question in all capital letters. David and myself have that set up to highlight on our IRC clients so that we don't miss them. It just makes it easier for us to track. All right, I'm Michael Hall. I'm one of the community managers with Ubuntu. With me is David Planella, another of the community managers. And we've got a special guest today. We have Marius Gripsgård, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Many of you will know him as the guy behind the UBPorts.com project and several Ubuntu phone port efforts, including the OnePlus One and now also the Fairphone 2. And I think you've got several others going on. So if you've got any questions for Marius, you can ask them exactly the same way. Start it with the word question in all caps. And we will read off the questions and answer them here on the video. But first, we're going to start off with some announcements. We've got a Scopes Showdown that has just come to an end. If anybody was participating in that, I hope you got your scopes in on time. Those are going through judging right now, and we will soon be announcing the winners of that. We've got some really cool prizes for the winners. We've got some nice convergence packs for people who will be able to experience, plugging in a phone and seeing the desktop converge from that. So David Calais is running that, and I'm not sure, do you know when the announcement is planned, David?
We don't have an actual date yet. The judges, I know that some of the judges have already started submitting their ratings, and I know that they are really good quality submissions. So I'd say stay tuned for an announcement. Let's say in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
I'm playing with a couple of the submissions that have come in, so they should all be in the store, and anybody with an Ubuntu phone can install them. I don't want to name which ones because I don't want to try unfairly influence any of the judging, but there's some really cool ones that I've been enjoying that were part of the contest. All right. Do you want to talk about Ubicon Europe?
Yes, absolutely. So we've just come out of a meeting with the Ubicon organizers. Some of you might remember in previous Q&As we've been talking about Ubicons quite a lot, and the Ubicon summit that we run in. I'm just trying to think the month now.
That was back in January. We did Ubicon Summit.
Right? Yeah, end of January. That's right.
Yeah, end of January.
So, riding on the success of the Ubicon Summit, some folks from Europe got together and decided to organize a version of the summit in Europe. That's going to be in Germany, in Essen, in November, and we're right into the middle of planning right now. We've got weekly calls with the organizers, and at the moment we're figuring out the details of the schedule and the venue. But the good news is that the venue itself is already confirmed, so that takes a big chunk of the organization out of our hands. And we're focusing right now on, as I said, organizing the schedule and picking up talks and suggesting talks. But yeah, it's going to be a really good one. So if you are near Essen in Europe somewhere, if you live in Germany or if you live somewhere nearby where you can fly in or you can get in by train, I'd recommend to come. It will be really worth it. You'll learn about Ubuntu. You'll learn about new technologies in Ubuntu. You'll learn how to create apps, how to create snaps, how to do Juju deployments, lots of things. And you'll get to know many exciting Ubuntu people as well. So yeah, I really recommend you to go. So if you want to learn more, right now we've got all of the information is in progress as we're just planning, but we've already got some info on ubicon.org. So if you go on to ubicon.org/events/ubicon-Europe, you'll find the preliminary information about the dates, the actual days, what's going on, and how to get there. So head up to ubicon.org and learn more about the next Ubicon.
I know a lot of people wanted to go to the Ubicon Summit over in California, but it was too far a trip for them. So if that was you and you're in Europe, then you've got a nice one close by that you should attend.
Cool. And to answer one of the questions on IRC, is Ubicon in German going to be in English? Yes, it's going to be Ubicon Europe, as in an international event. So some of you might remember the Ubicon DE, which is the German Ubicon. This year, the German local team are skipping Ubicon D, but instead making it an international event, which is going to be essentially Ubicon Europe, and the talks are going to be in English. Yeah.
All right, and then I think the last announcement we have is to once again talk about the online summit, which is coming up in the first week of May, so right after the release of 1604. Online Summit is where we plan out work that's going to go on in the next cycle, as well as talk about new things that are available in the release that we just had and promote that a little bit. So that all happens on Hangouts, just like this one. The format's actually very similar to this. There'll be a video feed for people who are actively participating in the conversation, and then there will also be an IRC channel for people who want to follow along and chat or want to participate but can't be on video. So that's all on summit.ubuntu.com. The slots are up and the rooms are up, but we're still looking for sessions. So if you've got an idea for a session that you can run, you can go over there and you can actually propose it yourself, and one of the track leads will review the proposals and approve them and put them on the schedule for you. If you know anybody who might be interested in giving a session and has an interesting topic, please poke them and try and push them to submit one also. One of the hardest parts of running the online summit is getting sessions proposed and in the schedule. So any help that we can get from you guys on that would be greatly appreciated. Again, that's summit.ubuntu.com.
All right then. So I think we've got some questions already. We might as well just start with. I think the first one is from Magic Sponge. What are your
let's get through the questions that we have, and then we'll introduce Marius and let him talk a little bit about the work he's been doing. I don't want to use the whole time up on questions and not get a chance to get to him.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I think we've got. Oops, sorry, I lost track. So we've got only a few. So we can start with those and then jump into to Marius. Okay.
So the first one is, what are your thoughts on the Twitter feed, twitter.com/Trump on Linux? I feel a little bit like this is my fault, being the only American currently on the Hangout. Without going too much into politics, I will say I'm personally fond of the Taylor Swift on security Twitter feed more than the Trump on Linux. And yes, that is a real thing. Look it up. It's amusing.
Awesome. I used to enjoy DevOps Jesus in the past, but he started.
DevOps Jesus? Is that what you said?
It was hilarious, but it stopped tweeting about 2 years ago.
Oh, that's a shame.
I'm going to paste it all.
All right, the next question is from Guest. He's asking, hope you have already read that about Microsoft patent related to convergent-style technologies. I wish to know how will it affect Ubuntu and Ubuntu users in the future. What is Canonical doing to resolve the problems because of this patent, if there will be any? So I read the patent summary and part of the description. Patents are extremely long and boring to read, so I didn't get too far into it. But from what I gathered from that part, this is really more of a hardware patent, and it's specifically around making. They kept bringing up this idea of a dumb tablet, really. So the tablet was a screen and input methods that were really good, but otherwise there were not many guts to it, and it would use a phone connected to it to do that. So my guess is that this is related to some new line of gadgets that Microsoft is coming out, probably as part of their Surface line. But I don't think it's going to have any bearing on Ubuntu and Ubuntu's convergence strategy. I'm not really worried about it, I'll put it that way. Another one about Microsoft and Linux, but on a brighter note, Dragonbite asked thoughts on Microsoft SQL Server running on Linux as well as .NET, and can Linux play nice with Active Directory? So I think it's really cool that they're going to support SQL Server on Linux. I think there's a lot of demand. Linux is the default host OS for anything in the cloud, it seems. And so Microsoft doesn't want to be left out of all of that action, and that means that they've actually got to play nice with Linux now, and they've got to support their software running on it. So I think this is another step in that direction that we've seen them taking. And I think they've just come to realize that, you know, if they want to be in the future of computing, they've got to be able to run on top of Linux. And that's a huge win for us. As far as playing nice with Active Directory, I haven't touched that in years. Like 10 years ago, I looked into it, and at that time, I think Samba 4 was going to work pretty well with Active Directory. But then I stopped doing anything with Windows and didn't pay any more attention to it after that.
All right, next one is from guest 63139. MJ Technology is launching an Ubuntu tablet. However, I haven't seen any online response from the Ubuntu team. Do you think this tablet is not worth promoting? I think the question is whether they've been in touch with Canonical and whether we're working with them. I'm not aware that we are working with them, but I think that might be a better question for our business development team or product management team. So it's not that we don't think it's worth promoting. It's just that I cannot tell you right now whether we were working with them or not.
Right, and if we're not working with them, then we really, you know, we've got to be cautious because we don't know what exactly is going to be launched and if it's something that we want to promote or not. There have been, in the past, there have been Kickstarter campaigns for things like this that have gone nowhere. So we really want to know what it is we would be promoting before we start doing that. All right, that's all the questions we have now, but go ahead and keep asking them, and we will get back around to them. And again, if you have any questions for Marius, you can ask them at the same time. But I think it's time now to introduce our guest. Thank you, Marius, for hanging out here with us through all of these updates. So, like I said in the intro, you've been working on the UBPorts project and several phone ports. Can you talk a little bit about what phones you've worked on in the past or are currently working on?
I started out with the OnePlus One. That was my first port. That's what essentially kicked off the UBPort project, because I kind of realized that there wasn't many ports for Ubuntu Touch. It was those old ports, but they didn't work on the newer system. So what I did was trying to build a community around porting and start up this UBPort project. It started up small, and now it's actually gotten quite big. I have so many devices laying in front of me here now. I have, like I'm doing right now, is the Fairphone, and I have the Nexus 5, the Nexus X, the Nexus 6, the OnePlus One, of course, and the OnePlus 2. So
And where do you get all these phones? Do you buy them yourself?
I have bought 3 them myself. Rest of them is donations. I actually got the Nexus 6 was donated by a local here in Norway. The Nexus 6 was also donated, the device, and the Nexus X and the Nexus 9 that is on shipping was funded by the donations.
And you take those donations through UBPorts.com?
Yeah.
And people can actually choose which device they want to send a donation to, right? It's not just like a blanket send Marius money. It's, you know, send money for this specific porting project.
Yeah, it is kind of where I can see what device is more popular and what device that people actually want. So that's why I set up where I can kind of track what device that get most donations, and that way I can see what devices I will kind of focus on and what the people want. Because as I'm only one person, I can't do a whole lot. This is already enough devices for me.
Yeah, that's already more devices than Canonical is committed to.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's a really good example of a well-sustained community project. I really like this this model that you've created there.
So tell us a little bit about the UBPorts website and project. How did that come about, and what are your aspirations for it?
It did come about, as I said, I started on a OnePlus One. I started porting it, and I actually realized it's really hard. I'm not gonna lie, porting is really hard, and that's my main inspiration to start the UBPort project to make porting easier and like where we can go together and work on one problem instead of each person do the same problems and need to fix them. Like work together, actually work together and push Ubuntu Touch as a team instead of working alone and fix the problems yourself. You can get help by other developers, and that you can actually get fixed the problems that they had before with their device, and you can see how they did it, and yeah, actually be as a team and work together. That's the main goal of UBPorts, actually.
So it feels kind of like an XDA for Ubuntu ports.
Yeah.
XDA being the Android porting community.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So Marius, you're saying that porting is very, very hard, or was very hard before UBPorts came in. So which parts do you think are harder, and for people to get involved in porting, what skills do you think they should have?
The main skills is it's knowing Linux, and knowing how Linux works and know how the kernel kind of fits together, and knowing Linux, knowing the kernel, and knowing Android open source project. That's the main component that you need to know, because you need to build Android open source project, you need to build the kernel, and you need to get it work with Linux, and you need to debug in Linux. So essentially, you need knowledge of nearly everything that has with Linux, and because you're kind of touching every part. You're touching the graphic part, you're touching the Bluetooth part, you're touching Wi-Fi and everything. So you kind of need some knowledge of everything, but you don't need everything. You don't need to know anything. That's why we started the UBPort project, because one person cannot know everything. So that's why we work together as a team, and kind of fix the problems together.
So
Excellent.
for people who are interested in getting started, how do they get involved in the UBPorts project and community? Is there a point of entry for them?
Yeah, there is a forum that you can start off with, and we also have a wiki where you can see how to build the sources we have. We have a source now built on SageMod that's a little bit different than an official Ubuntu branch. It's based on SageMod to make porting easier for SageMod devices. So what I would say, go to wiki, read how to build, and join the forum and ask people around there. We also have a mailing list on Launchpad. I can send the link in the chat.
And you're actually running a system image server as part of UBPorts too, right? So, so what's the process for people to flash a device that's supported?
Flash a device that is ported is we have an instruction on how to install every device on our device.ubports.com. There it will say every instruction on how to do it. So yeah, that's the best way to see how to install your device. Go to that page, click on your device, and see the instruction below.
And can people, for the most part, use the Ubuntu device flash tool like they can for the Nexus 4 and Nexus 7 that Canonical supports?
Yeah, all our devices do support that. Except we have some problems with the Fairphone with the fastboot mode, but that's under development.
Awesome. All right, well, we've got some questions for you, so we'll start taking those. Again, if you have any questions for Marius, please just ask them in the IRC. Start it with the word question in all caps for us.
All right, so Magic Sponge is asking, is Bitcoin accepted on UBPorts? I'm guessing for donations.
Yeah, it is. If you go to the device page, you can see a little tab. There is a PayPal icon, and next to the PayPal icon is a Bitcoin icon. So yeah.
Cool.
Have you gotten many Bitcoin donations?
Not as much as PayPal. PayPal is definitely the most popular one.
All right. Magic Sponge is also asking, can we work on the UBPorts wiki?
Yes. Both yes and no. Not on the current wiki because I had a lot of spam there and I had to shut it down. We had like 1,000 spam sites that was coming in every day, so I had to shut it down. But we have a new wiki that's coming up probably next week. It is up right now. It's under wiki2.ubports.com, where everyone can edit with a GitHub account or Google account.
Yeah, we've been having to fight with spammers on the Ubuntu wiki too, so I guess this is something that's going around.
Yeah.
All right, next question. What phones will UBPorts not port? For example, Windows phones or iPhones. Are there any that just are not going to happen?
I would say both Windows Phone and iPhone. I would say anything except Android will not be ported right now. Because Windows Phone, I honestly don't even know if the Android kernel will work on the Android kernel or the Linux kernel will work on it, and I had no idea how to see how it's built or anything because it is closed source phone, and same with iPhone. So only Android for now.
One of the benefits of having it running Android is that you can usually get the actual kernel source for that device.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was a device that didn't come with Android, then you're going to have to create a Linux kernel image for it. And that's going to require a lot more hardware knowledge than you probably would be able to get for those.
Yeah, I'm not a kernel guy, so I wouldn't be able to do that.
So any kernel guys want to help? There's an opening for you at UBPorts.
Yeah, if someone would take the challenge and port the iPhone, I would gladly help.
All right. Next question. is the money, as in suggested donations, just to buy the phones and tablets for porting, or does it pay for the work also?
It does only go to the UBPorts project, devices, servers. We actually got sponsored by Digital Ocean, so right now they are only going to devices. They are not going to me because this is what I love to do. So why should I take money from the project I love?
All right, and a big shout out to DigitalOcean too. We let them know that we were hosting there, and they offered to host the site for free as a contribution to the project. So that was really awesome of them. Thank you, DigitalOcean.
Yeah. Thank you. They're amazing service. I just want to throw it out there.
All right. Next question is from Magic Sponge. What are the main sticking points with the Fairphone port?
What do you mean with sticking points?
I'm thinking that he means, or he or she might mean, like blockers right now.
Yeah. What are the current issues we've run into?
The current issue that we actually found out today was actually a hardware issue because we had a early model of the display. So that is currently what we are waiting for, or what we are trying to fix right now. Other than that, I haven't debugged the other parts, so I don't know.
So what's really cool is how easy it is to actually take the display off the Fairphone.
Yeah, it's just...
I did that for the first time today. And,
yeah, me too.
Don't even need a screwdriver. You can literally just pop the display right off and put a new one in there. It was mind-blowing to do that on a phone.
It was 3 steps. Just take off the backplate and take 2 tabs and just peel it off.
Go ahead and do this right now. Actually, it looks like David already is. So when you take the back off, you got these 2 little blue clips here. I have short fingernails, so that makes this difficult.
Let's see if someone manages to break a phone live.
Okay, I should take the battery out first. You gotta do that.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so you put those 2 little blue clips in towards the center, and then the screen, I'm not gonna be able to see it very well here because I have
just
giant hands. But you just pop the screen down, and it comes off just like that. Oh, so Marius is already showing.
Yeah.
So what's really cool too is on the back here you can see they've actually labeled, where the camera component is and the headphones and the microphone, and all of those are individually replaceable components. So I've never seen a phone that was like this. It's like taking apart a PC again.
And it's pretty nice as well, as in the design is quite nice, and you would think that you wouldn't think that being a phone that's made out of like detachable components would be that small or that slim. I mean, it really looks like any other phone that's got like integrated or hardwired components.
Yeah, technically, you can actually, if they make parts that is more powerful or upgraded, you can actually upgrade your phone as you go, like a PC.
Cool. Go ahead and put 4 gigs of RAM or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you can upgrade the camera for higher density if you wanted to. If they come out with a new, better resolution display, if you can just pop that in there.
Yeah.
It's really neat. And my favorite feature, plastic back instead of glass. I've got so many cracks on the back of my Nexus 4. And I've already replaced it once, so much more durable that way.
One complaint I have, it's a little bit thick, actually. That's the one thing.
Yeah, a lot of that is the plastic case, though.
Yeah, it is.
All right, we've got couple more questions come in. Magic Sponge asks if you've asked the Shuttleworth Foundation for funding. If not, why not? As the asking prices are quite low. So I'm not sure if this really falls under what the Shuttleworth Foundation was set up to do. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Marius? Are you familiar with the Shuttleworth Foundation?
Not actually. I recognize the name though.
Yeah, it is. It's something that was set up by Mark, but it's a philanthropic organization that's specifically, if I remember right, it's geared towards projects that will improve conditions for people who are living in Africa, using technical solutions or otherwise.
Yeah, I guess this does not fall under that category.
I think in any case, I think the nice thing about Marius' model is, or UBPorts model that Marius set up is that it's a self-sustaining project in terms of like getting to buy new devices or taking care of any costs. In any case, another possibility would be to use Ubuntu donations. So that I think that might fit more than asking for Shuttleworth Foundation funding.
Yeah.
Magic Sponge is asking, is there an app that you wished Ubuntu Touch had?
Oh, I actually wish I had a nice 3D printing app on Android that could show the models before you printed it. I wish that was on Ubuntu Touch. I miss that.
You know, I'm going to throw this question over to David, too. David, is there an app that you wish you had?
There was one, but Google Maps was the app that I was using quite, well, the most one. I mean, I still got an Android phone. It's not that I've thrown it away, but I don't have the SIM card in it. But one thing that I missed was Google Maps, essentially, for turn-by-turn navigation. However, I've started using quite heavily UNAV, and I'm really surprised how well it works. So I think for that part, my wish has been fulfilled.
Yeah, the rate of improvement too on UNAV has been incredible. I started using that a while ago, and it was pretty rough at first. But you know, Marcos Costales, who's developing it, keeps coming out with new versions, and everyone is just better and better every time. The strangest part, though, is so he got Nathan Haynes from the Ubuntu California team to do the voiceover for UNAV, and I've known Nathan for years. He's a friend of mine, and it's really weird driving around and hearing his voice, you know, telling me turn right, turn left. But that's pretty cool.
Excellent. Yeah, and one thing that Mike...
I don't.
Go on, Mike.
I was going to change the subject, so if you're going to talk about UNAV, go ahead.
Yeah, let me just wrap up then. One thing that Marcos told me as well is that I mean, he's really happy with the reception for like how people have received UNAV and the positive feedback that he's got. He was telling me the other day that he's spending nowadays more time answering questions on Telegram or on mailing lists about UNAV than actually doing development, and still he manages to release put out new releases like sausages. So yeah, really cool, good work.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that it uses OpenStreetMaps in the background means that anybody can contribute to the actual data that goes into this. I had an issue a couple of months ago where I was trying to navigate it to a street across town from me, and it couldn't find it. And what I found out was that OpenStreetMap actually had the wrong name for the street that I was looking for. So I was able to go in through OpenStreetMap.com, change the street name, and suddenly UNAV picks it up automatically. So it's really cool that not just the app is open source, but all the data is open to you too, and you can contribute to it just like you would a wiki. So that's really awesome.
Excellent. So Mike, this question wouldn't be complete if we didn't bounce it back to you too.
So I actually have not had an Android phone in like 2 years. I had a Droid X, and the battery swelled and pressed against the screen, and it stopped working. And by that time, I was already using the Nexus 4 as my daily driver, so I just never bothered to replace it. The only thing that I miss from Android is I used to have a knockoff game of Risk. So it was just a real simple game. It was called, I think, Border Wars or something like that. But it wasn't time-based. It was something that I can play slowly, and it was just a great way to kill time. That's the one thing that I actually do miss from Android. Everything else, between the apps that I have, the web apps that are available, and for me, if there's a small thing that I need, I just throw it together in QML because it's easy enough to do. But that's the one thing that I would like to see. So maybe some enterprising person out there who wants to develop a game for Ubuntu can do that. All right, are there any more questions? We've got some time left, but don't wait until the last couple minutes because there was a time delay between the video and the IRC. So if you have any questions, please start getting them into IRC. Otherwise, we will end up wrapping this up early. All right, Greenbits has a question. What are the phone hardware requisites in terms of CPU and memory? So I think the Fairphone, the Nexus 4, and the BQ Aquarius 4.5, I think are all roughly the same in terms of memory and CPU, which is, I think, 2 gigs of memory, and I think they all have quad-core CPUs. Actually, the Aquarius might only have 1 gig of memory, I'm not sure. It's not much. I mean, it works on some really old apps, or some really old phones. Certainly anything that's coming out this year should be able to run it.
Yeah, I was looking at the at ubuntu.com/phone. We used to have the minimum specs listed in there, but we don't seem to have them anymore on the partners subpage. But yeah, essentially, what we're saying there is that we're targeting mid to high-end devices. All right. Next question is from Magic Sponge. What are the main changes in features with 1604? I've been using 1604 for quite a while now, and I must say I haven't noticed much of a difference. I think the main thing is that 1604 will be really stable. I know that we've changed we've changed the scroll bars back to the upstream ones. And then the regular platform app updates. But yeah, other than that, it's just the 1604 LTS release. But I don't know, Mike, perhaps do you have any particular feature you'd like to add?
One big change is that we are going to be using the GNOME software instead of the Ubuntu Software Center. The desktop team has been working hard on making sure that that will work with the Ubuntu archives and also the third-party app store that we run for the desktop. And as part of that, they're working on getting support for snappy apps that can be published through that store and installed on the desktop. I don't know what the state of the snappy part is, but the work on getting GNOME software itself is coming along really well. And that should give a much faster experience for anybody who's looking for apps to install on Ubuntu.
I also saw support for Steam games on the
Yeah,
software.
I saw that on Google+. I think Popescu posted that. So that's really neat. I guess that's a separate... So GNOME software lets you plug in different backends into it. So I guess somebody's made one for Steam, which is really awesome.
No, it landed on my desktop, so it comes with it. I haven't installed something extra.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Cool. So it's then installed by default. I didn't notice myself to be honest. So then it's pre-installed. Excellent.
Right. Magic Sponge is asking, when is the deadline for the Ubuntu Free Culture Showcase, or has it happened already? So yeah, the deadline for submissions on that has already come. It's in the process of being judged right now. If you have any additional questions on the Ubuntu Free Software Showcase, you can ping Nathan Haynes. He's N. Haynes on IRC. He's the one who's been coordinating that this year, and he can answer your questions. Dragonbite asks, is the Ubuntu phone going to use the GNOME app that 1604 is moving to? No, because the phone uses scopes for finding and installing apps. That's something that's part of Unity 8, and when the desktop moves to Unity 8, it will most likely also be using scopes for that. And scopes offer the same option of having multiple backends. So you could have the one store scope that'll go out to the archives, the Snappy store, the Steam store, and all that. So I would expect for Unity 8, so both on the phone now and on the desktop in the future, that we will use the scopes instead of GNOME software.
Which reminds me as well, now that you're mentioning Unity 8, there's another big feature that we haven't mentioned that's coming with 1604. There is a Unity 8 preview session that you can install to have, if not the full, pretty much the full Unity 8 experience, logging into a separate session. So yeah, there's something also worth trying to see Unity 8 apps running on your desktop.
So Magic Sponge asked, and we've already answered this, but I'll go ahead and answer it again. He asks, when is the next Ubuntu Online Summit? And that is going to be May 3rd through May 5th. And I think it runs from 1400 UTC to 20 UTC, those 3 days. And again, you can find the schedule for that on summit.ubuntu.com/UOS-1605. All right, any final questions? Now is the time to get them in. Marius, did you have any questions for us that you wanted to ask while you're here?
Not actually. One that I actually thinking about. When is you guys moving to Snappy on Ubuntu Touch?
On Ubuntu Touch, I don't think that's been decided yet. It will be sometime after 1604, I imagine.
Yeah, we don't have an actual ETA, but yeah, and the plan eventually is to move to Snappy rather than having. I mean, right now we've got 3 different packaging systems, dev packages, Click, Snaps, which are a superset of or the next evolution of Clicks. But yeah, eventually we want to move to Clicks. Sorry, to Snaps. To Snaps, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
You've started working on that, David, right? You've started creating Snap packages for some of the phone apps to try them out on the desktop.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty much. I haven't published it yet because, I've published them on the repos, but I haven't talked too much about this because they're pretty much in preview state. But it was some of the core apps that we've got. And I took Calculator and Clock being the ones that are simplest in terms of platform APIs usage and package them as snaps, and that seemed to work pretty well. But there's still quite a lot of room for improvement and for optimization.
Yeah, I also have an adjunct question for that. What will happen with the click package that is already on the store when you're moving to Snappy?
So the plan right now is to for the store to handle this transparently for you. So the idea is that in the store everything will be converted to a snap, and then eventually, then people will download just snaps. But in the transitional period where we don't still have snaps on the phone, the idea is that the server takes care of doing the translation to click when you download an app. But this is still work in progress.
Yeah, one of the nice things is that Snappy has all the features that Click has and then some, so nothing really has to change in the Click package to turn it into a Snap package. And we've got this really nice tool called Snapcraft, which can take software from a bunch of different sources, including like deb packages, and convert it into a Snappy package. And I would imagine it would be fairly easy, if they haven't done it already, to make a Snapcraft plugin that will convert a Click package to a Snap, and then we can have that just run automatically on stuff already submitted to the store.
Okay. And
all right, Balloon has a question. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I ordered a Raspberry Pi 3, and is Ubuntu Core working on that?
So I asked this question as soon as I heard the announcement, and the Raspberry Pi 3 is designed to be compatible with software from the Raspberry Pi 2. So the Ubuntu Core image for the Raspberry Pi 2 should just work on that. What I'm not sure about is whether or not the new built-in radio, the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth, will automatically work, or if it's going to need a new Ubuntu Core image to get those working, because that was not something that existed on the Pi 2.
Okay. And last question, is Microsoft buying Canonical?
Nice
Not
one.
today.
Oh.
No, not Amazon either. So yeah, we'll have to wait for a few more years. Anyway.
So Balloons has a question for Marius. He's asking, what is your favorite hardware to have ported to so far?
Oh, I would say the OnePlus One, because it was the first. It was the device that I kind of learned everything on, and I still love it. So the OnePlus One.
So I got to see Alan Popey's OnePlus One, and it looks really nice. Everything's nice and fast and smooth on there. What is the status of that port? What works and what doesn't?
It's Bluetooth and camera, and voice call. Else than that, everything
That
else.
does not work.
Yeah. But I can say that the new image that is coming now with Android Lollipop does have both headphones, voice call, and maybe Bluetooth.
Awesome. So there you go, Alan. You've got that to look forward to.
So what's the issue with the camera, Marius?
I haven't debugged much of it yet because I have been busy with other things. But from what I'm just seeing is the camera HAL is crashing, but I don't know why.
Okay.
And GPS is not working also. GPS.
All right, we've got a few more questions left, and I think just enough time to get those answered. So Magic Sponge is asking, how do I convince my local government to go with Ubuntu? What websites? I think that's really going to depend on what your local government's needs are and what they're trying to solve with a switch to Ubuntu. Ubuntu.com is going to have all that information somewhere, but again, it's going to depend on what they're actually interested in. I think we've got some business pages there for this are designed for companies that want to switch, and most of that should be applicable to a government that wants to also.
Yeah, and I think what I would add as well is that we've got some case studies of local governments that governments that have successfully implemented to Ubuntu, or not only local governments but also organizations. Like we've got the example of the La Gendarmerie in France. We've got the example of the Andalusian local government in Spain. So that might be those pages might be a good place to point to.
Those on Ubuntu.com, or are they on insights.ubuntu.com?
I believe they should still be on Ubuntu.com, but I can look for them and paste them on IRC.
All right. The next question is from Magic Sponge again. Where is the bug list for the Linux kernel? Because I can't find a bug list for it. So most likely it's on Launchpad somewhere, because that is our primary place for tracking packages in Ubuntu. Although I think a lot of the kernel development is also on Git now, so it may be over on GitHub. There's a Linux package in Launchpad. Let me see if there's bugs for it.
Yeah, I think it's the Linux one.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yep, there they are. So I'll post this in IRC for you. Here you go. So any package that's in Ubuntu should have a similar URL to this. So it'll be launchpad.net/ubuntu/+source/ and then the package name. So that's an easy way to go find the actual source code for the package in the archives, as well as bugs for that. All right, next question. If you knew of a local hackerspace, would you go at all? Yes, absolutely, I would go. I've been wanting a hackerspace in my city for quite a while now. The closest ones are 45 minutes to an hour away, and they're in major cities, so I have to deal with major city traffic, which is why I don't go to those. But I would love to have one here in my own town. But you guys, do you have a hackerspace near you?
I do not. I haven't seen anyone near, but I would absolutely love to go to one. I love everything with hacking and 3D printing and everything like that.
Yeah, there
I actually
isn't
found there's a
one
local
nearby.
college that has one, but it's only available to students, which kind of sucks for me.
Okay, so next question from Bob from Accounts. Will the external drives app be merged with the file manager app at some point in the future? As far as I know, we don't have any plans for that, but that doesn't mean that that wouldn't be a useful feature. I think what I would recommend perhaps is to ping Poppy on IRC. He's coordinating the meetings and the development and the work with the file manager developers. And if this is something that you'd like to vouch for or you'd like to contribute to, he can point you to the right direction.
All right, Balloons has something that's not a question, but he just wants to toss out some more love and thanks to Marius for UBPorts.com.
Thanks for that.
And anyone who wants to contribute, either technically or financially, to Marius and these porting efforts, you can go there also. All right, and the last question from the day is from Bob from Accounts. It says, I recently watched a video of the side stage function working on the Ubuntu tablet and was a little concerned as the larger left-hand side app was partially hidden underneath the right-hand side app, just like with the settings app currently on a tablet. This seemed a bit daft and makes the left-hand side app unusable as a third of it is obscured. Is this the plan, or will both apps adjust in size to be, and then it cuts off? So when I played with this years ago on the, I think it was the Nexus 10, there was actually the ability to make them tile side by side so it's not overlapping, or just pull out that side stage to overlap, depending on your use. So if you want to just quickly check something, you can just slide it out and it'll overlap. But if you want to leave it there and work with both apps side by side, there was a way where you can, lock it in place and then it would tile instead of overlapping. I don't know if that still works. There's been a lot of work going on that code, both in terms of design and functionality. So I don't know if it's still there or if it's still planned to be there, but I know it used to actually work that way.
I saw a video where they just took 3 fingers and they could drag it into tiles. So from MVC.
Okay, and it actually tiled both of them side by side. It wasn't the side stage overlapping the main one.
No, it wasn't side by side. They had the music app on one side and the Bros app on the other side.
Okay. Cool. So hope that answers your question, and hopefully once people actually get the devices in hand, you'll be able to see more video of that happening. All right, and that brings us to the top of the hour. We've ended right on time. Thank you, everybody, for your questions on IRC. We appreciate you guys coming in and your great questions and feedback. Big thanks to Marius, both for the work that you're doing on UBPorts and for coming on here and answering some questions for us also. We've really enjoyed having you.
Thanks for allowing me on here.
All right,
Thanks,
and
Marius.
we will be back again next week. Some other members of the community team will probably be hosting next week, but it's always on Tuesdays at 1700 UTC. It is always on ubuntuonair.com and #ubuntu-on-air on Freenode IRC. You can watch this video and any previously recorded videos from Ubuntu On Air on our YouTube channel, which is conveniently youtube.com/ubuntuonair. You can also follow us on Twitter at Ubuntu On Air to get announcements of upcoming events. All right. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.